Hey, what's up, guys? I thought I'd do this quick video on just some of Clapton's playing in the 60s, mid-60s, kind of bluesbreaker, John Mayall's bluesbreaker and early Cream era stuff. Just stuff I've picked up over time, kind of listening to a lot of live stuff, a lot of bootlegs, and just a lot of the official records and everything. But I think first off, obviously Clapton back in those days played Gibsons typically, humbucking Gibsons. Either a Les Paul or a 335 or a SG, most famously, I guess, overall, would be the Les Paul, and he also played a Firebird through Marshall amps. So what I've got today is a Paul Kossoff R9, a 59 kind of custom shop Paul Kossoff 59 Les Paul through a JTM, Marshall JTM 45, early 90s reissue, kind of the rig he would have been playing in the Bluesbreakers. And then I'm playing through a cab that's actually an old Bluesbreaker amp. So it's got two 12-inch greenbacks in there. And so to get Clapton's tone in those days was kind of bass heavy and fairly, when it comes to Clapton, I guess, running a good bit of amp overdrive. I've got the amp just turned up full in the normal channel. With everything full up except for the bass is only on 3, and I've got a master volume installed on the back that's kind of just up, so it's kind of a reasonable level in here. It's not too loud, and so I feel like Clapton used to, especially live, spend a lot of time actually on the treble pickup, just with a lot of tone kind of rolled off. So playing on that bridge pickup, rolling off a lot of the tone. For when I'm playing Clapton, I generally just run the tone pot at about 5 on the treble pickup, and the volume pretty close to full up. I think in studio stuff he probably did a lot more running in the neck position, and you certainly can. I mean, you get that kind of the woman tone going, when you just kind of roll off all the tone and. Versus the neck position rolling off the tone. But for this demo, I'm just going to run on 5, kind of a bit more treble, and just run wide open on the volume. So you get kind of that bass heavy, overdriven tone that he used to use back in those days. Really great sustain and feedback, and just got that creamy kind of sound, I guess, where that came from. But so just in terms of his playing, often Clapton would mix the major and minor pentatonic scale. So I think one of the first things to really get under your fingers is obviously that minor pentatonic blues scale. Mixing in some major pentatonics. So one thing that Clapton would do would be play the minor pentatonic scale with the blue flattened fifth, and then mix in the major pentatonic scale. So some of the happier sounding stuff, like I'm just going to play in the key of A here, just to keep it simple. But so I think that's a big part of getting the Clapton thing going, is to really be able to freely mix that major and minor sound together. So and to do that, you just need to start learning those scale patterns and those intervals. I guess the complete set of intervals would be he would play you got the root, the major second, the minor third, the major third, perfect fourth, the flatted fifth, the fifth, the seventh, and then you also have the major sixth. I guess, you know, one thing is Clapton would bend almost every note in the scale. Where some guys shy away from some of those step and a half bends or the bigger bends. You know, you'd often hear them kind of, you know, everybody bends the fourth up to the fifth, or the fourth up to the flat fifth. Minor third to the major. Clapton would bend like the fifth all the way to the flat seven. Or you know, taking that root note and bending it up to the minor third. I think those big bends, you know, are some of the keys to really what he was doing at the time. So another one would be that fourth. You know, you can bend it up to the fifth, but you can also bend it all the way up to the flat seventh. Kind of his signature vibrato, where rather than doing the vibrato with the wrist, he did it like almost with the elbow. So. Another thing he would do would often be to kind of play that partial dominant seventh chord where he'd be kind of sitting on the flat seventh and the fifth. So. Major, something he always did, kind of jumping back three steps from kind of your standard box one. You move it back 3 frets, you're in the major pentatonic. kind of bend this flat fifth and major third up to the fifth and the minor third. So. Just a lot of those, he would often take these two notes in the minor pentatonic, which is the major sixth and the fourth, and kind of bend them. Which is always a cool kind of thing to do, and then kind of jumping back and forth from those double stops. Always kind of playing with that triplet feel. Do all those unison bends. I did that kind of cool one that's definitely just classic Clapton, where he would take kind of just real dissonant sound mixing major and minor. So you've got this kind of pull off happening between the major sixth and the fifth, and then you're kind of bouncing off that minor third. So landing on that minor third is, or the major third, is also a really nice. That's another thing that's very Clapton-esque, I think, is to pivot between that. I guess it's a major seventh and the root, which is, he would often do it up in this kind of fourth pentatonic position. That is playing where he would kind of bar the flat seventh and the minor third and kind of hit that root. there. Anyways, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, I guess, just some generally Clapton stuff from the 60s. Anyways, let me know if you got any questions. Thanks, see you.